We're joined now by Gilbert Achcar, Professor of Development Studies and International Relations at the School of Oriental and African Studies at the University of London. Thank you so much for being with us on the programme this morning, Gilbert. So, talks set to resume again in Doha this Friday. The fact that they are being convened for a second day, does that bode well, do you think, for hopes of a breakthrough?
Good morning. No, I think these negotiations have been almost doomed to fail from the start, for the very reason that the Israeli government doesn't, I mean, the government of Mr. Netanyahu doesn't really have an intention to conclude a new agreement. And the gap between what Hamas requires and what the Israeli government wants is too big for these negotiations to lead anywhere, and that's why they have been stalled for so long.
So, what exactly then do we know about what is on the table? All sides warning that a lot of work remains given the complexity of this agreement.
Well, basically, the captives or the hostages that Hamas is holding in the Gaza Strip are the last and only practically card that Hamas has. And they want to get something in exchange. And that something is basically what they need, which is a real and permanent ceasefire, an end to hostilities, and what they have requested, the withdrawal of Israeli troops from the Gaza Strip. But that is a non-starter for the Israeli government, and that's why it's almost, I mean, one could say, unfortunately, that these negotiations seem very much to have been a kind of waste of time and a way for the US administration to say that it is doing something, whereas it is not really doing what it takes for any kind of negotiation to reach a real ceasefire, which is exert pressure on the Israeli ally. As long as the United States is just covering everything Israel does, providing what US President Biden called the ironclad commitment by Israel to defend the Israeli state, and that is very clearly unconditional, as we can see, then, I mean, the Netanyahu government feels free to carry on stalling and, I mean, pursuing their own goal, which is a permanent presence of Israeli troops in control of parts of the Gaza Strip, and that's what the other side cannot accept.
Yeah, because the talks are having no impact on Israeli forces' operations. They've targeted more than 30 different installations across Gaza over the past 24 hours. If there is a ceasefire agreed, do you think that it's going to do anything to end fears that this conflict may escalate beyond Gaza?
No, unfortunately, I can't see. I mean, you will get a ceasefire when the Israeli armed forces will decide that time has come for them to stop most of their military operations. I don't know when this will happen. I mean, that was supposed to happen several months ago, but very clearly their goal, which has been described from the start as impossible to reach, the total destruction of Hamas, as they said, is not reached. And I mean, we can't see the end of the tunnel, if you want, from that angle. We're already speaking of something like 5,000 people, 50,000 people dead, 40,000 in the count of the Hamas health, the Gaza health services, plus an estimate of 10,000 people under the rubble. That's 50,000 people killed. That's a huge, absolutely huge massacre, and it's carrying on. That's a huge tragedy.
And Professor, what kind of influence does Doha have here? The Prime Minister of Qatar reportedly speaking with Iranian leaders after Thursday's talks.
I mean, the idea that Iran is really any center of decision on this, I think, is very far-fetched and untrue. Iran has clearly showed that it is actually eager for this to stop because it fears an escalation into a regional conflict. It's not in the interest of the Iranian regime nor of its Lebanese ally Hezbollah to go for a full-scale confrontation. They don't want that. That's why Hezbollah has kept the confrontation limited with Israel. That's also why Iran has kept it limited, despite all the provocations and assassinations that Israel has implemented. And now we can see that after the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran, uh, Iran has waited for this new negotiation meeting in Doha to take place. They are clearly leaving some room for a possible ceasefire, which is obviously what they would prefer. So the ball is really in Israel camp. And the fact that the Netanyahu government took this decision to assassinate the main interlocutor of the US administration and the man who was considered to be the relatively moderate figure of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, the fact of assassinating Ismail Haniyeh and the result having been his replacement with Yahya Sinwar was regarded as a relatively hardline figure within Hamas. I mean, this is very clearly a sign that the Israeli government is not really serious about getting into any kind of negotiated ceasefire. As I said, they will stop the fire when they will believe that they can do it, but they will keep in control of key parts of the Gaza Strip, as they are doing presently, have been doing in the West Bank ever since the Oslo Agreement.
Gilbert, we'll have to leave it there for now, but thank you so much for your time on the programme. That is Gilbert Achcar, Professor of Development Studies and International Relations at the University of London. Thank you.